there was this line, like this, it's just a small part in the script. I didn't really want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable with doing this. Then this group of people, they start pressuring me. I get locked out of a room. I get tried to force into a locker. I mean, someone got like a rope and started like pretending to whip me or something. Someone threw a shoe at me, and it's like there were like all these little bits which built up to like me breaking down completely. But what was worse was they went to the teacher and said, "Oh, Dillon's not doing this scene. What shall I do?" And then the teacher goes sarcastically, "Oh, why didn't you go try kick him?" And and so they do, and that is a horrible situation to be in, where people are just talking about you, and they're talking about you behind you. This isn't paranoia, and you're just sat there unable to do anything.
Hello and welcome back to the Talking Head podcast. My name is Taylor Caddick, and welcome back if you've joined us before. If not, this is a podcast all about mental health awareness and the different issues and topics that surround it. Today's topic is all about education and bullying within it. This is something I've had experience with in the past, and I've got a guest on today who also shares those similar experiences. My guest today is called Dillon. He's joined with me now live on Zoom. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
It's been a weird week. I've for so long I wasn't at work, and all of a sudden now I'm back at work. You're back at work, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I work at two places, and it's just bonkers at the moment because you've got to get used to that. Like, it's very different to how you used to go to work, where you've got to now wear your visors, you've got to wear your masks, you've got to work with customers who seem to be even more ignorant now. And
oh God, yeah. I mean, I'm sort of looking forward to on Friday, because I know there's a lot of people that don't like the fact that on Friday, when we're recording this, it will have been a thing for a while when it eventually comes out. But it will be, that masks will be mandatory in all shops. Is it just shops, or is it restaurants? It can't be restaurants.
I think it's shops and supermarkets. I mean, try to wear a mask whilst eating food, but I was gonna say, does that kind of count for that? But I don't think it does. It's gonna be interesting, because in my shop, I don't know if I'm not going to name drop them, because I don't know if or not I'll be working for. I don't know if I'm working for the company at that time. I will be leaving soon, but I don't know if I'll be working for them. They, the sort of customers that come in are not the kind of customers which take stuff like that like seriously. At least, and I'm not just saying that because my customers are like that. Genuinely, from the last few weeks, I know what my customers are like, and the people that have been coming definitely.
in. It's sort of got me worried, and now obviously now the masks are coming into fashion. I'm sort of looking forward to that, because I'm kind of like, it'll make my day a little bit brighter if I can refuse someone entry to the shop, because I can be like, fuck you, because I just can't, because as a retail worker, this might sound quite sadistic and quite boring to anybody that doesn't work in retail, but being able to just sort of get a bit of like, comeuppance and just kind of get a bit of an edge on a customer is bloody lovely. And especially when they are doing the wrong thing, right? It is lovely.
It's the most satisfying thing you could do as a job in the job.
But you can't beat it.
Yeah. What was I going to say? It wasn't, this experience didn't happen with me, but it was the other week, and someone was waiting to come into the shop. My manager, he went to go get his visor, put it on, and this customer said to him, "Oh no, you don't need to worry about that. I don't really care about it." And my manager goes, "Well, I do. I care about it. I don't want a virus." And I was like, "Yeah, it's fine. You're not gonna get it from me." I'm like, "Fuck off."
Jesus Christ! I mean, that's
ignorance
ridiculous.
People have is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's mad. It's mad.
Yeah.
So last week I kicked it off with a brand new feature, right? That's going to be on the podcast, and that is basically the guest and myself informing the audience about something that's good that's happened in their life this week. And I haven't really got an official title for it, but I think last week we were calling it like something that's lit up my week. So yeah, what's lit up your week this week?
Well, today I got my braces off, luckily. I've been waiting about 5 years to have these off, since about year 10. I've had them in, and like I was really impressed with how my teeth looked, because you should have honestly, I'll have to show you a picture one day, but you should have honestly seen how they look like. They looked like they belonged to someone who was on the Jeremy Kyle show. They were awful.
Great comparison. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's if you could see the teeth right now, viewers, you would be absolutely amazed at the fine specimen right in front of me. With my light of the week, what have I? Because it's weird, because I'm recording this on the same week as another podcast, so I can't use the same one, which is a bit.
You got to quote 2 examples.
It's more awkward for me because I've kind of put on the pressure a bit more. What's good happened to me this week? I'm gonna say I don't know. This might be a something that next week might be completely opposite, but I got Tinder for the first time. Oh no, not for the first time. Actually, for the second time. The first time I got kicked off because I wasn't old enough. But this time I am old enough, so I'm back legally. Right, This is my first time on it legally, and you know what? It's interesting.
Go on.
I've got a few matches, and you know what? I'm not complaining. So yeah, it's you know what. But the thing is with Tinder, I'm not going to use it genuinely for love. It's just I think it's more of a laugh than anything else. And if you
why have you downloaded it now then? If it's not for something romantically, or
I've been speaking to people about meeting up, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. But you know, I've only had it 2 days, so it could all change. But you know what? It's a nice confidence booster, I reckon. So, but I don't know if whether or not I should be sharing that on a mental health podcast because it's also a bit tacky.
Yeah. I don't want to use it.
No,
I don't want to use it for those reasons specifically. It's like for the same reason I don't have I don't have a lot of social media, and I especially don't want to go onto those dating apps just because either it could boost your confidence or it could go in the completely opposite direction. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather just do things without. I don't know. It's a hard thing to explain, but
I think it's an interesting it's an interesting thing that we can go into detail in a separate podcast, because there is a lot of pressures with sort of apps and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it can sort of be tied into social media because it's sort of a social media of its own sort of kind. I'm just looking who's just matched with me. Okay. Right. Okay. That's the end of that kind of just self-loathing.
If you stop talking, I know why. I'll just be like looking at Tinder, swiping on.
No. I'm gonna put my phone on charge right now, so you can know that I'm my bloody things at the other side of the room, so you can't then have a go into that.
Taylor on Tinder can be a different podcast.
You know what? That's a great podcast title, Taylor on Tinder. Right. I think we should probably start talking about today's topic.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so today's topic is, and I don't want to, I don't think we sorted on a really a specific title, but what I'm going to basically go off is education and bullying within education.
Yeah.
It's interesting with us two because we are both Northern. So we've both grown up in Northern schools. Well, I don't know if Northern schools are the best. I'm going to say
no.
They're probably
I'm saying the North's the best. Definitely not the schools. No.
No, yeah. So that's our our only weakness.
Yeah. I mean, you're from the northeast, so I don't know what the comparisons are between the east and the west.
Northwest.
What about north?
I'm northwest.
You're northwest? I thought Leeds is in the east.
No, it's northwest.
Is this me just having a dumb moment?
No, wait, hang on. Oh, hang on.
I'm sure it's in the east.
Hang on. Oh, wait, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it is. I've just got it confused.
East is
with
right.
West Yorkshire. No, yeah. When I hear West, I'm like West Yorkshire.
Wait, I'm on Google
hang on.
Maps
You're
now.
gonna find.
Oh wait, you're more Midlands.
It's very mid, isn't it? It's like it's a really awkward sort of. I'm gonna say West Yorkshire, okay, because that makes more sense.
Yeah, you can have that.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll call
Well,
you East Bradford.
oh no, don't no, seriously. I don't want to be associated with Bradford, and that is, I've been there many times. I just don't like
Uh,
it there. So, anyway, what we're going to talk about? Education.
Education.
Yeah, we should get onto
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So let's. I want to go into your sort of
Oh God.
opinion on the education system in England currently, or the time that you went there, because it wasn't that long ago. If we're going to talk about high school or college or whatever, you've just left
Okay.
college. You've just
Yes.
2 years ago left high school. So what is your opinion on the current education system in England as a whole?
Like in general,
Yeah.
in just everything. Oh gosh. I'd say. I mean, it's very biased towards which educations it points you towards. Like I think, especially up north, I don't know what it's like down south, but I'm not an academic person.
Mm.
I'm awful at English, maths, all that stuff. When it comes to art, I'm a lot better at, but especially in the early years of high school and things like that, it's really difficult to do more of those things when, especially my school specifically, they're pushing a lot of English, maths, and this is what you need to be to this is what you need to have a good career or something,
Yeah,
when that isn't true in the slightest.
no, it's very much, and I went to a high school which I will take the absolute luxury of, if one day they sort of want to bring me back for a speech, they contact me and go, "Oh, you've done quite successfully," which is hopeful. I'm hopeful that will happen, and they'll go,
Yeah.
"Do you mind coming back for a speech?" I will tell them to fuck off, because that school did. I mean, it was great for some reasons, right? Because
Okay.
it was, my school was known as being quite strict compared to other schools. There's basically near me, there's two high schools that were basically viable, and there was one which was which been around a much longer, and a lot more people went to because it'd been around much longer, had a bit of a reputation, within the area. But it also had a reputation for being quite dodgy, and by dodgy I mean they literally employed a police officer to be on site at all times because people were carrying
Oh my
knives around.
God.
So that's not
As
what I
you
wanted
do.
to do. So I went to the other one, which was a lot more strict, and
Hmm.
it was made quite apparent from when I was looking around there, going into year 7, that it was going to be strict, and it was,
Mm.
it was sort of a bit like a prison. Fair enough, right? But
Great.
I got my grades, and I got the grades that I pretty much wanted out of it. So I
Yeah.
can't complain for that reason. But in terms
Hmm.
of my experience at that school, horrific. I genuinely have never felt um, lower at times than in that school, and it had a zero tolerance on bullying, which is something that I want to kind of laugh about, because a
I
zero
was
tolerance
hoping
on
you'd bring this
bullying.
up.
Yeah. So did you have that at your school?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it'd be difficult. No one's going to go, "Oh yeah, I'm sort of
yeah,
tolerant towards."
zero tolerance. Yeah, it's something that every school and college and university and it has to say,
Yeah.
because you can't expect them to say, "Oh yeah, we kind of tolerate it. We'll just see if we can be asked to deal with something
Yeah,
like
you
that on
have to
that day."
say zero
They have
tolerance.
to
Yeah.
say zero tolerance, and from my experiences, and I'm guessing from yours, it's definitely not close to zero tolerance. It's
No, no, it's
my school was a good 75% tolerance.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's difficult to sort of eliminate all sorts of bullying, because
Yeah,
bullying goes on all the time, everywhere.
yeah,
It's just something that is, for is so common in everyday life. It takes many different forms, and it is very difficult to beat, and that's why it's always going to be an issue in schools, because you'll find the majority of school kids are utterly annoying pricks. They are. I don't give a shit. Like
yeah.
you look at some of the people that you were friends with. I don't know if you're friends with many people from high school, but
Um, I'd
I
say
mean I don't think
I
I am.
speak to one of them now and again. That's about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Sorry.
No, it's alright. Yeah, it's. I mean, I have like one or two that I keep in contact with, and
Right.
they're lovely and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm like best mates with them or anything like that.
No.
But you know, I am, you know, very civil with them. Sometimes, I mean, I had a friend that I'm not going to name drop him because I don't know if he'll want to be name dropped. But I
Mhm.
went to Leeds Fest last year, and this is very specific. I don't know if you're going to care, but it was all of a sudden I was faced with going to see Foo Fighters with my whole of my camp at Leeds Festival, or seeing
Right.
Bastille. Now I know I probably made the wrong decision in going to see Bastille because Foo Fighters are
Why?
legendary.
I know,
Well,
but
no,
Bastille
okay,
are great too.
Bastille are great. Okay, I don't
Okay,
regret it
good.
too much,
I might
but
have had to hang up if you said they weren't.
yeah, no, because I do, because I grew up with them when I was younger, and
Yeah,
you know,
same.
I knew all the songs and stuff like that. So I was a fan before they even like released any of their big songs like Pompeii or whatever.
Mhm.
And so I just really wanted to see them. I'd never seen them live or anything like that. So I was like, I want to see them. And none of my camp were like, you're going to choose them over the Foo Fighters. Fair enough, because Foo Fighters are legendary.
True.
And if I could have seen both, I would have. But I actually got in contact with an old friend, and he was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's sort it out, and let's," because he was there as well, and he was like, "Oh, should we just meet up and watch Bastille?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we did that, and that was really great. And it's great that to have friends that you sort of keep contact with.
Yeah,
But in terms of, you know, that bullying and that zero tolerance,
yeah,
absolute fucking bullshit. I hate the fact that I think for a lot of kids, when they hear zero tolerance and bullying, it sort of encourages them to do it more.
oh yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
definitely.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's difficult. And okay, I'm going to start ranting now because I did
go
say
on.
that I was going to start ranting.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in school, and I kind of had this idea in my head since probably like year 8, year 9, that I wasn't ever really a popular kid, right?
Mhm.
So my high school experience was never brilliant, but um, when you're growing up, puberty hits and you start being interested in love and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
obviously, I started looking at girls and being like, you know, wouldn't mind dating her, whatever. And it sort of became this thing there, like I wish I could go out with them, but I'm not cool enough to do that and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And it's annoying because I always used to think like there would be people that would date my crushes and they'd be like really popular, and I'd be like, oh, like if only it was you. But then I realized that they're just pricks, and I
Yeah.
thought in later life, you're not going to want to be with that person. For some reason I thought that they'd be together from like year 8 till like the you know, whatever, for like
Till
fucking 10
death.
years, when
Yeah.
when a majority of high school relationships last about 2 days. So it became this sort of thing where I was like, um I hope in the future that this sounds so dodgy because obviously they'll all have grown up and I'll have grown up, but
Mhm.
that they will like then go see, oh, remember Taylor, who we didn't, well, you probably don't remember him because you probably weren't even looking at him, but this guy went to our high school, he's fucking smashing it now, and you know, I said I was wasting my time with this fucking guy who's now, you know, not doing
Yeah.
anything, and
Yeah.
he's a low life and he's not doing anything, not got a job or whatever, and he doesn't want to get a job. And
Yeah.
it's like I always had that idea in my head that I was gonna be like, one day I'll be like, I'll get my comeuppance, and I'll be like, yeah, look at me, like, and that's sort of a motivation for me to now be like,
Yeah.
be better and do more. I'm gonna be honest, right? I am the very sort of, what's the right word to use here? I'm always creatively charged, and I always want to be doing something creative. Like it's ridiculous. I will be on shop floor and I'll be thinking of another creative endeavor that I can go down, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to do that, but I haven't got enough time. I'm working pretty much full time. It's difficult to do something like that. But yeah, back on my point with education and not being and
Yeah.
cool. Like, what defined you as cool? Like it's mad. I
Yeah.
mean, what
It's
would you define as cool in high school? When you were in high school, what did you define as being cool?
I
And
I
by the way,
don't know.
using the
It
word
was
cool is a bit uncool, really, isn't it, nowadays? But
yeah.
but
But
you
that's
get
the
my
word you
point.
use then. Yeah.
Yeah.
The the cool people were always like the dicks who I
Yeah.
always looked at them as the dicks. I never really saw them as, oh, you're cool. I want to be like you, because all you do really is play football and then take the piss out of everyone else. And this is the sort of people that my school is just filled with, and I didn't really like. They're just sort of, when I was ever around them, I always felt like a bit on edge and stuff, because not necessarily because I thought they were cool, but because if I do something bad around them, then that's me done for. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I don't like to look
difficult.
at people as cool or not, but yeah, these people are, we'll say popular, really. But
yeah, popular is probably a good word to use.
yeah. But whenever I was just around them or in a lesson with them, my mentality was like, don't do anything, just get in my own hole, so I just don't ruin my own reputation or something. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
There's a few things that, like, when you're in high school, you're more self-conscious about yourself than I think you are at many times. I mean, that's partly down to puberty and stuff like that. I mean, puberty is a rough time for most people.
Yeah.
And things are always changing, and it becomes difficult. And I just remember always there came a point where I was like year 10, and I was like, I just stopped trying to be popular, or stopped trying to, because it became a point where it just clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? I don't need to be that. I don't need to, because that was what
exactly.
I pursued for so long. And it was like, the important thing in education is, the most important thing is, and I'll hold anybody to this, is that just get your grades. Like, just get your grades. That's what you're at school for, man. Just get your grades. And I know a lot of people go, oh, but it's all about life experiences. You can get those life experiences when you're not in education. Like,
those life experiences in high school are not worth it. Definitely.
There is no life experiences really to be having in high school, right? Because it's mad. Honestly, it's crazy. It's like people. There was this. Well, when you're in high school, you sort of, everybody knows if you're a virgin. You know, you assume everybody's a virgin unless they've told the entire school. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know if somebody's not, because it's probably gone around the entire place. And it's like, that pursuit of that shouldn't be even an idea in your head. Like, why at that age, it doesn't matter. It's mental. Like, there's a reason why the age of consent is 16, is it? Is that the age of consent? I don't want to get that wrong. It's 16.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. 16. Right? 16, right? You don't need to be worrying about anything. All right? And don't even worry about when you're 16. When it happens, it happens. And it doesn't matter when. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, people would get so worked up about that, and the people would get like really self-conscious about it. There's nothing to be worried about that. Like, it doesn't mean shit. It's mad. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, and then it sort of becomes this awkward bragging. And it's like,
I think it's more or less, it's more or less to be accepted. I think that's how some people see it as. They're like, I've made it to the point that a lot of people want me to be at. It's hard to explain, but it's, as you can tell, I'm not good at explaining anything. But it's people. I don't think people do it because they might do, but they might not necessarily want to. But it's just so people can maybe either get off your back, or like from trying to pressure you into losing your virginity or whatever. But it's just something that I think people expect someone to be doing at this age, and then if you haven't, then you're expected to be shamed.
Yeah, it's sort of like something that's been ingrained in culture for a long time. If you watch the In-Betweeners, I mean, I would say most teenagers in Britain watch In-Betweeners when they're going into high school, or whatever, or in high school. That sort of like culture of, like, that pursuit is so relevant, and so but then you realize it when I've watched the In-Betweeners growing up, and you laugh at how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it's mad, and it's like,
crazy.
It really is crazy. I want to talk about your experiences with bullying in education. So I mean, where did this first start? Can you remember your first memory of being bullied? And then also, it would be
Oh
interesting
god.
to hear whether or not you've bullied anybody else, and you would like to ask for an apology, and forgiveness.
Okay, that's getting deep.
It's getting
Um,
interesting now. That's what we're talking. That's what the Talking Head
yeah.
podcast is all about. Go on.
Oh yeah. Well, I'd say I couldn't tell you when it started. I'm gonna guess I was about 8 or something, but I can't remember half of those experiences in primary school. But in high school, like the worst parts of it were definitely, I'd say, between year 8 and 9,
Hmm.
and a lot of it, was just because I was definitely an unpopular person. I mean, I've mentioned this just before that I had like terrible teeth. I was small, I was a bit of a geek, and that makes me like an easy target for people who want to find someone to pick on or something.
Hmm.
But most of my experiences, they like were people either like just joking at you, but there've been other experiences which have been like really bad. Like I'd say in a drama lesson, like for me, drama was like the worst hour of the week,
Right.
and it's because I was put in a class with a bunch of people I didn't like. I didn't have any friends in this group. And there was this one time, especially in year 8, where we're put into groups and we have like this script and we've all got to play around parts. And I was like put with like the worst imaginable group of people I could have been put with in this group. And there was this line, like this, it's just a small part in the script. There's this line they wanted me to shout, and I didn't really want to do it. I didn't feel comfortable with doing this part. And then this group of people, they start pressuring me. Like I get locked out of a room, I get tried to force into a locker. I mean, someone like got like a rope and started like pretending to whip me or something. Someone threw a shoe at me, and it's like there were like all these little bits which built up to like me breaking down completely. But what was worse was they went to the teacher and said, "Oh, Dillon's not doing this scene. What shall I do?" And then the teacher goes sarcastically, "Oh, why don't you go try kick him?" And and so they do.
Fucking
And
hell.
and then I ended up like breaking down in tears in this corridor. And then they go, "Oh, why are you laughing? You're such a baby," or whatever. And and then this is like the end of a lesson where everyone starts coming out of their classrooms, and I'm just like having a proper breakdown in a corridor. And then I can't. And then a teacher comes up to me and just starts asking me questions, and I'm at like the point of in tears where where you like struggle to breathe,
Hmm.
uh, and the teacher's asking me questions. What's happened? Has a teacher had a go at you or something? What's Can you tell me what's happened? And I'm like, I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Um, and that was probably like one of my worst experiences in it. But there've been other times. All right, so you don't know this, but I follow a vegan lifestyle,
Okay.
and um, and that shouldn't really be a problem with anyone else. I didn't talk to anyone about it then. I didn't talk to anyone about my reasons, but one point I decided to share a video on Facebook, and this is a video which like pushes my faults
Hmm.
and just tells people why I'm vegan and something. And then the next day in my music class, someone decides to like get a piece of ham out of their sandwich and throw it at me. And then like this group of people, they just continue to joke about it and like saying how vegan food's disgusting. You need to just try meat, and all this bollocks. And that is like horrible when I can't do that. I'm just like pretending just to not listen and play the keyboard practicing in my music class. And that is a horrible situation to be in, where people are just talking about you and they're talking about you behind you. This isn't paranoia. And you're just sat there unable to do anything. And there were no teachers in the classroom at this time, which always helps. And then it all builds up to about this point in, I think, year 9, where all these situations happen. There's loads of little situations that happened where people just sometimes they laugh at you in this one day, but then it just keeps building up and building up till you can't take it anymore. So I decided to go to this head of year and like tell him everything that's happened. And he goes, all right, I'll talk to these people. I'm like, this was a long list of people. And once I've spoken about it, he goes off and starts talking to those people. The next day I go into my history lesson and I didn't know what to expect. I usually have low expectations for the days anyway. But a good 50% of this classroom is staring at me, and they stare at me for the most of the lesson. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's been said. And I just have to like sit there like as like an anxious little fuck waiting to find out what's going to happen. And then this one guy who thought he was friends with me. I'm like, why do you think you're friends with me? You've been throwing chewing gum at me in the like from underneath a table for like the past few weeks in lessons. And then he said, oh, why did you grass on me? Like, fuck off. It's crazy. I mean, I've had loads of experiences, but I wanted to point in that before because you said about the no tolerance thing, the zero tolerance. I think teachers really need to reapproach how they tackle bullying, because what that teacher did, who I told him everything that's happened, he just managed to push people further onto picking on me. And it really didn't help at all. And I told him this little incident where everyone's just staring at me and it made me feel really paranoid. And he said he was like really shocked of what had happened, and he said he would just like have a go at them again. I'm like, that's not going to work. He didn't even follow up on it. It was terrible. So high school was great.
I mean, there's so many issues with the way schools handle bullying, and I get it. It's a tough thing to sort out. I get it. I sympathize with them.
I understand it's not easy.
No, it's not, and it's something that it will, for some certain situations, a certain way to tackle it will be this way, and then for some other situations that'll be the complete opposite way to kind of want to try and tackle it. It just depends on the sort of the nature of the bullying. I reckon a lot of the bullying is made worse by if you're quite self-conscious about yourself. Little things that you wouldn't really title as bullying can sort of add up in your head as being bullying, and by that I mean little looks and stuff like that can really sort of affect you. I think the way schools need to approach tackling with bullying is through more open talking about it. Like, they need to talk to people. Like, it needs to be an ongoing thing. You can't just mention it once and be like, we have a zero tolerance on bullying. Talk about it regularly, because like, kids are dumb, man. They forget shit all the time, and they need reminding, right? And they also need to know the consequences. Here's the thing: make consequences for bullying even more severe. I know they make it quite severe in certain schools, but that's not far enough. You need to make it even worse, so that people. I mean, I know that a lot of people that do bullying actually don't give a shit about school. That's from my own experiences. They don't give a shit about whether or not they have to move or whatever. They don't. They just think school's, an inconvenience to them. And but I don't give a shit. All right. Sooner or later, them switching schools will have an effect on them, and they'll realize, oh shit, like I probably shouldn't have done that. And then that's the consequence. Then, if they didn't feel it then, they'll feel it now. And it's like, you've got to do more. And in terms of talking about things, this is a rant, right? I've mentioned it in 2 podcasts now, but I'm going to mention it again because it's even more relevant, because this is genuinely what it's about. We get taught about rock and corrosion in geography, right?
Okay.
What's all that about? Why don't we get taught about fucking, bullying and all these mental health issues instead of fucking corrosion? Corrosion did jack shit for me because I didn't even choose to do geography, right? I learned about that, and I've never used it in my life, ever. Ever. Why the fuck did I learn that in a time where I am now hitting puberty, right? I'm learning about rocks and corrosion, and instead, you could have been talking about something that is genuinely affecting me. something. It's
Yeah.
like they have is it it's something education, personal education or whatever.
I
It's
think I know what
it's
you're
like
on about.
sex
Yeah.
ed and stuff like that, and they talk
Yeah.
about health issues and stuff like that. Don't talk about it, right? When they talk about it when you're like year 10 or whatever. Talk
Yeah.
about that year seven
Mhm.
at the earliest, because there is so much you can use in that space. If you have like a personal education system, right, where you can sort of not just talk about all the things that they do talk about, but talk about mental health and the things that you can do. You ingrain that in somebody's head from an early age,
Mhm.
pre-puberty, right? You're sorted. You're like you've set that kind of like
A
little
standard.
area of standard. You
Yeah.
set that standard now. You don't then you need to talk about corrosion and shit like that. I
Yeah.
don't understand. I just don't
Yeah.
understand why that is relevant to
Yeah.
a year 9 student. It is not. There's going to be no excuse for it. And I think
Yeah.
people need to start holding their hands up and going, oh yeah, well, maybe we should start talking. Yeah, start talking about it now. Don't fucking act on it on 2 years later. Act on it now. Like, that's the thing. Like, this
Definitely.
government, right? I don't want to get too political, but there's when governments make decisions, it usually takes either a few years or I don't know, it takes a few months or whatever to come into place. Start it now, man. Don't just go,
Mhm.
oh yeah, we'll start it next year or whatever. It's like the whole face mask debacle. Why didn't you just start it now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What,
They
I
should
don't
have
understand.
started that
Why
in
did they go?
March.
Oh yeah, we're gonna start doing that next Friday, right?
Yeah.
That last week, and I'm like,
Yeah.
right, well, why not this Friday? Why not tomorrow? It's
Yeah.
like there
Yeah.
has to be a delay on shit. Why does there need to be a delay on shit? That's
Yeah.
only just
It is
prohibiting
crazy.
progress, isn't it? It's like, I don't understand what's the benefit behind that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's
Definitely.
stuff that needs to be done, and
Yeah.
a lot of shit that needs to be done. And I haven't got all the answers, but definite conversations need to be sparked
No, it's
and
like
talked about.
I think schools are really poor at teaching not only stuff like the bullying and mental health and all that, but even like when they're
Mm,
trying to teach diversity or something like that.
mm,
When if like we had like RE lessons every week or something, and in year 10 we were gonna have this one day of like learning about religions and stuff. And I thought, oh great, we can learn about all these different religions that I haven't been taught about yet, instead of like Christianity, which is usually all that's taught. So I was like looking forward to this day, like learning some stuff. What does the RE teacher do but give us 5 hours of Scientology? uh, I
yeah, yeah,
don't care about that.
and
It
yeah,
was
we
the
get
most
fucking
pathetic
showed
day we've ever had. Yeah.
Simpsons episodes and shit like that. It's
Oh
like
yeah, because
it's
that's what we need to
ridiculous.
learn.
And I get shown the Truman Show, which, by the way, is actually quite a class film. But
It is good. Not for educational
no, it's not. It's not what I
purposes,
need to
really.
see at that age.
No.
There's an issue, and it needs sorting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah,
I
it's
mean,
rooted in that.
yeah. All my school when we were learning about bullying, and they did do those sort of days. They were, I'll call them 20-minute assemblies, like once a
Mm.
year. But all they showed us this one video, and I'm sure you've been shown the same video. It's like it's not really related to bullying in school. It's always cyberbullying that they focus on. And it's always the same video of someone like sticking a signpost outside their door, like a for sale sign, but it has all their
Oh
personal
shit! Yeah,
information on
I
them.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've just brought back a memory. Yeah.
I've seen that
Oh
so many
jeez.
times, and it's useless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. They need to focus on more like how they need to focus on telling people why they shouldn't bully. I mean that as stupid as that is, people need to be taught that,
mm,
and what people who are getting bullied can do about it, and not necessarily the answer be just go tell a teacher about it, because they're not going to do fuck all.
yeah. I totally agree. You dodged a bullet earlier. I'm not sure if you did it intentionally about bullying somebody else.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay,
Yeah, I
no,
I
that wasn't
assumed
me
you had
dodging
forgot
it.
about it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna say yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
have you had any experiences where you've kind of stepped back and you've kind of acknowledged that?
I need to think about that. You know what I might have? I don't know though. I'm gonna say I have done it in the past because when you get bullied so much, I don't know if it happened with you, but for me, it made me very angry.
Yeah.
And what I think why a lot of people bully people is usually because they have an opportunity to make themselves more dominant or something. They can make themselves like a conventional man for this one time or whatever. But when they have an opportunity, like some people could be having a tough time at home. I don't know that. I don't know it with anyone's cases. But if they're really angry about something and they have the opportunity to take their anger out on someone else, they will. I can't remember if I think I have done, because when you're picked on so much, you want to take it out on someone else, and definitely it's not fair what you're doing, but you don't see it like that. You want other people to know how you're being treated,
Yeah.
so you take it out on other people. And I'm sure I have done things like that in the past, especially like in year 9, year 10.
Yeah, it's you've part of the problem is that people often don't want to admit what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult thing to admit that you've done wrong things because
Uh-huh.
you don't ever really want to think of yourself as that because you kind of think,
Of
oh, I've
course.
done that, and it's a difficult thing to do, and I'm not expecting people to kind of you know
It's a tricky
listen to
one,
this
isn't it?
and go, oh yeah, but then it's very important to self-reflect. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what? If there were people that listened to this and they thought about the things that they've done,
Mm-hmm.
um, I've got to kind of send a message to them is that you don't need to you can feel apologetic, but I don't think it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Don't let it trouble you, and you don't feel like you've got to all of a sudden come back and be apologetic because I
Uh-huh.
don't think that's what a lot of people want. I
Yeah.
feel like if you just contacted people that you have had those run-ins with, ask if they're okay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sort of shows that you care. It might be a bit taken back at first, but if you kind of just show that
Mm-hmm.
you you don't have to really just say that you're regretful because sometimes that doesn't do enough. If you show it, you're like you're physically
Yeah.
that you're doing it rather than just say it,
Yeah.
then I
Definitely.
think it means a lot more to the victim and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've it's difficult because I'm looking back now and I probably have made comments about people when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all do. Um, and I can't really pick out any certain circumstances because I don't think
Yeah.
I was too bad for it. I really didn't want to. I knew how it felt to be shit. I feel shit,
Mm-hmm.
and feel kind of mocked, and I didn't want to have that pain put on anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I would like jokingly say shit about my mates to their faces, but it was always jokes. And I look at
Yeah.
that
That's
now, and
different. Yeah.
I'm like, it might have had a mental effect on them. Like if they heard it that much,
True.
then it might have. And it's like we need to go into talking about bullying in terms of jokes because a joke can be funny, but if it's repeated by a few people over and over and over again, it gets tiring and and if
Mm-hmm.
it has a kind of hurtful connotations towards yourself, it
Yeah.
gets a
Yeah.
lot. And yeah, I've made jokes about people because other people have been, and I look back and I probably regret you know sort of being part of that because if it did, it might not have had an effect on them at all, but if it did, then it wouldn't have been the right thing to do. It shouldn't have been the right thing to do anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. I mean,
but
sometimes it is a lot easier just to follow the crowd than go against
yeah,
it.
yeah, you don't ever want to go against the crowd. It's difficult to go against the crowd, because there's a thing. You were mentioning earlier about grassing and stuff like that, and sort of
Mm-hmm.
standing up to things. And the difficult thing is with that, a lot of the time, the people that bully have got a support network behind them that will
Mm-hmm.
support everything that they say and do. Otherwise, they
Yeah.
wouldn't say it. Do you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
they didn't have that
Definitely.
support group and they didn't have any sort of certain someone to impress, then they wouldn't say that shit.
Yeah.
Um, so it's difficult when you go against one person. You usually go up against a lot more.
Mhm.
And like you were saying, half the class were looking at you. It's
Mhm.
when you rise up against it and you sort of speak up about it, it's a very daunting thing
Mhm.
to do, because that plays in your head then, because it's not just one person, it's a whole group of people that
Oh
are
yeah,
then going up
definitely.
against you, and that's a very daunting thing to do. And I
Yeah,
remember, this
definitely.
is sort of not really to do with education, because this is something that happened sort of whilst I was in education, but not within school. Someone was saying shit about me all the time, and they were quite popular, and they would get away with a lot of stuff that they said, just because no one would ever speak up against it, and no one would dare say otherwise and stuff like that. And I didn't want to stand for it. I just was like, that's not what I want to. I'm just not what I stand for. If someone's, you know, getting talked to like shit, I'm not gonna go and support that now. I'm not like that. And by this time, I'd matured a lot more. So
Yeah.
I stood up against it. And this person should have been a lot more mature than me. And that's my dog walking in my door, but we'll let him roam around. It's this person was. Is he going up my room? Yes. I'd like to make your little guest appearances in every single episode. This person had a large connection of people that didn't, ever find any problem with what they were saying. And as soon as I did, everybody was like, "What's your problem? Do you know what I mean? What's your
Mhm.
issue?" And it's like
Yeah.
then I became the issue, because
Mhm.
I was the one speaking out, and because I was the only one that found issue with it. That's when the issue arose. When the issue actually arose, when they started, speaking shit.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, it's a that's the thing. We're linking it into education. There's a lot of people, a lot of teachers that go, and I have experiences who go, "You're not going to grass, are you?" And they'll say that to a student,
Mhm.
and then that makes them feel self-conscious for aggressing,
Really?
right? Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
I
God.
mean, there's people
I've
that
never heard that before. Yeah.
oh yeah, like yeah, it's like um, it's mad. I'll use the example from the In-Betweeners. I
Mhm.
don't know if you've seen it, and it's
I actually haven't.
oh, you've not seen oh
I've never
god, there's
seen
a
the
character.
In-Betweeners.
It's
No.
so for people that have seen it, they'll know this scene. But
Mhm.
for those who haven't, there's a character called Will who's from a private school that moves to this comprehensive school, and he's the only he's the only student that wears like a proper uh like a proper, I don't know what you call it, a proper blazer,
Yeah.
um
A
instead of like the
jacket.
actual like yeah instead of like
Yeah.
a jumper,
Yeah.
like everybody else. So he's always sort of bullied, and that's from the first episode. And in one of the episodes, I think it's probably near the start, and he's kind of tied up against a chair, and he's got a bucket over his head like a bin. And then
Mhm.
Mr. Gilbert, who's the head of sixth form, comes in, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you who did this?" And he goes, "It was," and he goes, "You're not going to grass, are you?" And it's like that is, and I watched that, and I was like, that's real, like that happened in my own school.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You teach that grassing is, I mean, all right, okay, grassing and snitching, right, is always probably going to be one of these things that's looked down upon, right, because you're
Mhm.
known as a snitch. It's a very
Yeah.
negative word, but
Yeah.
who gives a shit if it's going to make people better
Yeah.
people?
I mean, the stuff
It's
we're talking
ridiculous.
about, where it's you're coming to a teacher to tell them about a problem you've been having, that's not snitching or grassing. I don't see it like that.
No,
It's
no, it's
you're,
not.
you're doing it to make yourself feel better, to get people off your back because it's killing you.
Hmm.
So I don't think you should be looked down on for grassing, well, for quoting grassing, just because you're trying to get someone to stop doing something horrible to you.
Yeah, it's so uh it's got so many issues behind it, and
Mhm.
I'm not saying this podcast is going to launch a massive investigation into the public, education
Who's to say it's
system in
not?
England. But yeah, if it does, bloody hell,
Yeah.
I will
Michael
be on the
Gove could be
board.
watching.
Yeah, if Gove is watching, if anybody knows Gove, please send this to him. But I don't know him. But yeah, if you could, yeah, it'd be good. So if has Michael Gove got a child that could be watching or something like that? If he has, and you are
You
listening,
never know.
bloody send it to him, because I think there are a lot of young voices that need to be heard, and it's ironic really, because I think in terms of talking about mental health, it's only become something that we've started normalizing over the last few years, and it's something that we probably aren't going to change as a generation. We aren't going to change it completely, but it'll be a generational thing.
Yeah.
That if we start talking about it, then more people are going to start talking about it, and it'll become just the norm. And
Definitely.
that starts in education, in my opinion, because the
It usually
teachers.
starts in a Gillette advert, but but yeah, school second place. Yeah.
Oh god. But yeah, it's a tough time. I mean, I think if for anybody that is in that system and is feeling shit about it, you need to know that it does get better, and you start to realize
Oh yeah, definitely.
how stupid a lot of the people that made you feel stupid
Yeah.
in high school really are, and
Yeah.
not just in high school, primary school, college, whatever. Don't you just need to learn to focus on your own successes, and that might be quite selfish, but fuck them. Like it doesn't matter. No one should care more about your life than yourself. And people are usually only there to get you down because they'll take a bit of enjoyment from it, and it's only temporary. Because if you think them is going to mock you for the rest of your life, you'd be terribly wrong. People get bored too easily, and it's all about phases, man. And it comes and goes.
I mean,
It's difficult, but you'll get through it.
yeah. If you're looking at it getting better now, I'd say this is a really good story, but for myself. But when I was I think I was in year 11. At the end, one of this person I knew, he knew I'm into films and all that. He said he's going to be an extra in this short film. No, I think it's a feature film. And he was telling me about it and asking me if I wanted to come along. And it was this zombie film. It's terrible. But I was an extra as a zombie in this film for about 2 days. I think it was at the end of the shoot. And at this point in my life, my confidence was really low because of all the bullying that I'd experienced. And within these 2 days, I just learned to act crazy in this film, and you end up not caring what anyone thinks about you. And after those 2 days, my confidence was a lot higher. So just for that short period of time, my mental health got so much better than what it was.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, the film's shit, but that wasn't really what it's about. I think it was the biggest film that had ever been filmed in Preston in 2017.
Everybody's gonna be googling that. Can we get fact checking on that? It could be the second biggest film.
It could be. It's called Redcon 1. I mean, you can tell. I'm showing you the DVD cover.
Are you sure you want that slander out on the internet?
I've not even seen it. I've been procrastinating to watch it, but I've really not wanted to watch it.
It looks no. It doesn't look too bad.
Really? Have you seen the trailer?
No, but I've.
I mean, from what I learned from it, if anyone wants me to act in anything, I'm really good at pretending to be dead. That's another thing I took from being in it.
I think it's on Netflix, so I might have to add it to my watch list.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, go. Yeah, you watch it. Let me know if I'm in it. Yeah.
Right. But, I think. Go on.
Yeah, as I was saying, those 2 days in that shoot made things a lot better, and especially my college years, they were so much better than high school. College is a much better experience. Well, for me, it was. It was a much better experience than high school, and I made some great friends. I did some really terrifying stuff, which actually cured a lot of my anxiety.
Right. Okay.
I'll tell you about this. This is I'm not even telling my parents I did this because it's it was very dangerous.
Oh, this is
So
exclusive.
yeah, this is a scoop.
Yeah, go on.
So I have this friend who he taught me just to do like loads of. We're both photographers and stuff, and we decided to climb up a lot of buildings at night and stuff, and
Right.
just for the shot, and it's really stupid stuff. And we've been on train lines and stuff, but this stuff gives you like intense anxiety when doing it. But after doing it, it's like the fight flight response. When I keep doing this fight response, my body's telling me I shouldn't be doing this, but when I do afterwards, my anxiety is much better. Anyway, it was 2 days after my 18th birthday, and he messages me to see if we wanted to go on a climb and do a shoot, whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure, where do you want to go? And then he sends me a photo of this radio tower, and this radio tower is massive. And
I don't like the sound
I was
of
like,
this.
okay, so how are we going to get up there? And he just said, oh, there's just some ladders on the side.
Fucking hell, mate.
And so I was really debating to myself, should I do this or not? And I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll do it. And so we walk up to this empty field with a radio tower in it. We've got to climb over the fence, which that was really, and I just started climbing up this tower, and I was terrified. We didn't have any like safety harnesses on it. It was just, if I slip, I'm gonna fall and die. And to make it better, this was like there were these two girls on a park nearby. They were like 5, 6, 7 years old, and they were like shouting at us both, "Don't fall!" And they just kept saying for the whole half hour we were climbing up this. They were just shouting, "Don't fall, you'll die." I'm like, this is like my head was telling me this anyway. Anyways, I made it to the top. I'm still here.
Are you here? Is it just a hallucination?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be some inception. But also, I'm not telling anyone who has a lot of anxiety, don't do that. It was a stupid thing to do.
Yeah. You don't need to resort to sort of that sort of thrill seeking just to sort of overcome some sort of anxiety, because just doing stupid shit does, some people, people get off on that sort of thrill, but it's also just fucking dangerous.
The radio tower thing, don't do it. It wasn't a good choice, but it helped my anxiety a lot. And it's a really weird feeling, but when you come down, like that like the pains in the stomach you get with anxiety, they just like vanished from me. So I'd say that I'm really glad I did that radio tower experience, but I could have killed myself.
Yeah. So it would. Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's that you sort of we can link this to earlier when we were talking about you do stuff for a thrill to sort of feel better. So we're talking about virginity and stuff like that. Talk about I mean, obviously we can get into dark subjects. We can get into drugs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I haven't had experiences with that because I'm a pussy. But
Hey, what was that toxic masculinity stuff?
Oh yeah, I know. I kid.
We're not saying that.
I kid, of course. But yeah, I don't know. People resort to different things and sort of thrill seeking to feel better. But honestly, you're at school to learn, so you don't need to impress people. You don't need to, I mean, if you want a thrill, right? Just I don't know. Go on. What games do people play nowadays? I don't know what's popular with the kids. I don't. Fortnite. People, I don't know. To play Fortnite.
Not us, real, not our age.
No, I don't know. I don't know what's fucking popular anymore. I'm so out of touch. It's ridiculous.
Anyway,
I'm still gonna try and get down with the kids. Just basically. Just there's so many better things you can be doing than just doing this shit that you can just save for later life. Not drugs, but I mean, you could go down the drugs if you want.
Climbing stuff. But,
let's just stop talking about drugs. So
And
yeah.
don't take my advice. Wasn't
But
good.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to round this podcast up just talking about like, um, I don't think there's much we can talk about in terms of how we can solve this. But to anybody that could be listening and feels like they are getting bullied, what would be your piece of advice?
Oh, you're asking me? Shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Just basically, people are twats. It gets better, pretty much. That's the only thing I can say. I don't have knowledge in this area, but when you do get bullied, you feel like you don't want to do anything. You don't want to leave home. You don't want to go to school. But you should know it might take weeks. It might take months, or even in my case, it took a few years for me to recover fully from the health that bullying impacted on me. But it does get better. It definitely will. You'll have a much better
100%.
life through college, uni, whatever.
Yeah, that's the biggest piece of advice that I can give to anybody is things do get easier and better.
Definitely.
The longer you're here, they do. And sometimes you'll go through rough patches and you'll think the opposite, and you'll think actually my life's getting harder. But then you can reflect and be like, actually, no, it did get easier. And
Definitely.
in terms of this, it's all about reflection. Do you know what I mean? It's all about reflecting. You can reflect upon your past and you can just look at the negatives, but then it's important to look at the positives. Your high school experience might have been rubbish, and I still think that, but there are certain positives that came out of that, and certain memories that I remember that were quite fond. So yeah, don't let it ruin that completely, because school is a big part of your life, and is something. Yeah, if you can try, and if you are listening, and you still are in education. I mean, we're still in education. We're going into uni, but if you can try just drown out all that negativity, you're gonna have a much better time. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but
Sounds like a Tumblr quote.
yeah, but oh god, don't say that. But yeah, it does get a lot better. And you know what? It's a massive part of your life. It's also a time in your life where you're kind of finding yourself and finding who you are. And as soon as you drown out the negativity, you can have a much better time. And you know what? The only person that should really care about what you look like, who you are, or whatever, is yourself. Okay, it doesn't matter to anybody else. Because right now you don't need to be thinking about that. I know a lot of people get obsessed about trying to attract people and get in relationships at that age. You don't need to. It's not fucking worth it. It's a confidence
What was that
booster,
about
but
you making a Tinder account?
well, you see, I'm not a child anymore. I'm a man, so it's all right. No, we all do stuff, right? Which we will probably look back on and regret. I might regret Tinder. Well, I don't know. I could find the love of my life on Tinder. Who knows, Dillon? You could be being judgmental like this, and then be like, "Oh, actually, I found the love of my life," and then you're going,
I mean,
"Yeah." So
if you do, you do. Tell me I'm
I,
wrong.
if I do, I'd be very surprised. But we'll see.
Me too.
But yeah, it's been really nice talking about this today, and I think it's really Blair used the word after the podcast. He said it was very cathartic. Is that right? Is that the way you say it?
Yeah, cathartic.
Yeah. I don't often use that in my day-to-day life, but
I know what you mean about
it feels very self-therapeutic to talk about certain issues, and I think it also helps when you listen to other people's issues, which is why we do the podcast, is so that you're not alone, and that other people are going through issues, and you can sort of relate to them, and there's everybody's going through shit, and it helps when you know that you're not going through it alone. And so again, I just want to reach out if anybody is struggling. Just reach out. Might seem a bit dodgy on a school podcast when I'm getting 15-year-olds messaging me, but I'm going to rephrase that because
reach out to you, but someone else.
No, yeah, okay, but yeah, just reach out, man. I mean, it's very, very important that you do reach out and you talk to people. We need to start talking, and I've gone through those experiences, and sometimes it is useful to talk to people who have gone through those experiences to do them. But yeah, no, definitely speak to your peers. and stuff like that. And yeah, just it's just useful to talk and to speak. And I think it's been useful for me because I've been able to get a few things off my chest. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely. I do like talking about it because I did say to you before the start of this that I haven't spoken about these sort of things in a long time, especially online. I've never spoken about it
It's
online,
difficult.
but it is definitely good to talk about it, 100%.
Yeah.
And also, if you become famous one day, Twitter will find this podcast and rip apart the last quote that you just said and end your career.
No, well, you see, I'm going to cut that out now, so it's not even going to be a worry, mate. It's not
Okay,
even going to be
great.
a worry. The only person that could destroy me is you by potentially recording this and then exposing me in the
I've not
future.
recorded it,
Oh,
so
thank fuck.
you're
Right.
all safe.
By the way, for anybody wondering what that quote was, it wasn't dodgy at all. It was just, if you took it in a certain way, it could have been dodgy. Do you know what I mean?
Message me. Yeah, if anyone finds me on Instagram, send me a message. I'll out him.
Oh, man. Right, anyway.
I'm
Do you
kidding.
have anything to plug before you go?
To plug,
Yeah.
my laptop's about to run out of battery. It needs plugging it.
Such a shit joke, but it's good at the same time.
Sorry,
Right,
I'm
go
really
on.
sorry. You want to see some good dangerous photography that I got a couple of years ago? Go to my Instagram at Dillon.p_photography. That is the worst Instagram name I could have come up with, but that's it.
I will. I'll link that in the description of the YouTube and
Yeah.
the streaming links so that you guys can go follow that. My Instagram is Taylor.Caddick, and that's it. Basically, it's pretty simple. And you can, if you feel low about anything, just message me. One thing I haven't mentioned in a few podcasts in a while is that you can actually message the podcast directly through Instagram or any other sources, or you can leave a voice message through the anchor link, which is on the Instagram page, or it should be in the description of all the streaming things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
you can find it through that.
it's next to Taylor's OnlyFans link.
Fuck off. Just, do you know who listens to this? Right, anyway. I've been Taylor, and you've been Dillon, and yeah, it's been great for talking today. And you know what? Thank you for listening.
Thanks
Because
for having me.
and you know what? Yeah, it's been a pleasure. If you did enjoy today's podcast, or you do enjoy any of the podcasts, please make sure to share it, because sharing does get more people talking, and talking helps more people. So yeah, I've been Taylor, you've been Dillon, and thank you for listening. And wherever you are, goodbye, good night, good morning, and see you later.